Most people travel to Newport, Rhode Island for its stunning beaches, but there are so many other fun and thrilling things to do in this famous seaside town. It's the perfect city for a romantic getaway, a girls-only weekend, or a family vacation. Whether you're trying to spend your time working on your tan, exploring the city's many historical and cultural heritage sites, or partying it up in Newport's lively nightlife scene, there's something for every type of traveler to appreciate throughout all the seasons. Join Viewcation as we present the best things to do in Newport, Rhode Island. Greenvale Vineyards. This highly celebrated winery can be found right outside of downtown. The vineyards stretch out along the coast, so the winery is not only very lush, but also offers unparalleled views of the shoreline. On the weekends, it likes to entertain its guests with live jazz music. They also offer ample outdoor seating. Unlike pretty much every other destination in this video, Greenvale Vineyards isn't within walking distance of Newport's downtown district. Still, if you have a car or don't mind getting an Uber, you won't have far to travel for an incredible experience. Be sure to buy a bottle or two of your favorite to take back home with you. The Cliff Walk. This 3.5-mile walk takes you along Newport's gorgeous coastline. In addition to providing stunning views of the Atlantic, this walk will also take you past dozens of the city's most luxurious and historic mansions, such as Marble House, the Breakers, and Rosecliff. Throughout the trek, you'll have numerous Vista Point opportunities for some photos. The path begins on the north end at Easton Beach. It ends on the south end at Bailey's Beach. The path has varying degrees of difficulty, from paved easy trails to rugged rocky ones. Fortunately, throughout the walk, there are a total of 8 points that grant you street access. So if you come upon a part of the path that's a bit too much, you can always exit. For most folks, it takes about 2.5 hours to walk the entire cliff walk one way. We recommend beginning your stroll at 40 steps and then walking out to Marble House for the chance to experience both the easiest and most challenging legs of the trail. Along that route, you'll see some of the best landmarks within the shortest period of time. Alternatively, you can always see the mansions from the comfort of your car. To do this, drive along the famous Ocean Drive. While traversing this National Historic Landmark District, you'll see breathtaking views of the shore, along with landmarks like Narragansett Bay, Newport Harbor, Fort Adams State Park, and King Park. Easton Beach. Easton Beach is the spot to be on a warm summer afternoon. With its white sand and shallow water, it's one of the best places to kick back, relax, and read a book while the kids build sandcastles and splash around. The beach isn't particularly long, but there's ample space to spread out and enjoy that clean, crisp New England fresh air. So be sure to bring a towel and beach chair because catching a few rays on Easton Beach is one of the most relaxing things to do in Rhode Island. Thames Street. This street is one of two in Newport where visitors will find all the action. Quite a few of the city's best restaurants and bars, such as Brick Alley Pub and Restaurant, are located along Thames. On top of that, it's also a great place to find locally owned and operated stores, galleries, and boutiques. If you're looking for a great spot to take your special someone out for dinner, or simply searching for where all the people are, it's a great place to be. Bellevue Avenue. Running parallel to Thames Street, Bellevue Avenue runs through the city's most historic district. From the historic mansion Rogue Point to the equally historic Hotel Viking, this street is packed full of buildings dripping with class and style. Bellevue offers visitors quick street access to several other renowned estates, including Rosecliff, Marble House, The Elms, and Chateau-sur-Mer. Our favorite is the section of the avenue between Mill Street and Bowery. Here, the buildings are incredibly charming. You might even forget where you're at and assume you got transported to an idyllic European village. Bellevue also features some of the best eats in town. A few standouts include Pasta Beach, Empire Tea and Coffee, and Crew Cafe. It's also home to the must-visit International Tennis Hall of Fame. And if that's not your vibe, right down the block is the Austrian Auto Museum. Mansion tours. By now, you've probably caught on that some of Newport's most popular attractions are its mansions. While the majority of us will never be able to afford one of our own, you don't have to be loaded to appreciate Newport's most opulent abodes. With dozens of mansions dating back to the Gilded Age, visitors are able to tour many of Newport's most lavish domiciles, thanks to the efforts of the Preservation Society of Newport County, which owns many of them and offers tours. A few of the most famous are the Breakers, Marble House, The Elms, and Rosecliff. While the mansions themselves are lovely to look at and adorned with period-appropriate furnishing, they also boast a ton of history. For example, Rosecliff, which was completed in 1902, was built for Teresa Fair Ulrichs. This well-off socialite hosted several, no doubt fabulous parties here, including one where the famous magician Harry Houdini was a guest. Then you have Marble House, which was built as a summer cottage for Alva and William Kissam Vanderbilt. It was constructed between 1888 and 1892 and designed by Richard Morris Hunt in the Beaux Arts architecture style. For a taste of the good life without having to have bottomless bank accounts, touring these mansions is one of the best ways to see what life was like for the wealthiest Newportonians in the late 19th century. Also, fun fact, the Breakers got its name from the sound of the waves breaking on the rocks along the sea cliffs in the mansion's backyard. Bowen's Wharf. This cozy square is located along a scenic harbor downtown and features dozens of adorable cafes, upscale restaurants, and unique boutiques. While it's a bit on the touristy side, Bowen's Wharf is still well worth a visit. It's a fantastic place to go for a leisurely walk and offers a really nice vibe at night. The atmosphere on the wharf, even on a weekday, feels like the weekend, so there isn't a bad time to visit. If you've got a sweet tooth, grab a cone at Kilwin's Ice Cream across the street before strolling down the wharf for a sunset. Long Wharf. While this spot isn't exactly one of the most notable places in Newport, you'll still really appreciate walking around at sunset while marveling at the boats docked in the harbor. The wharf is across the street from Thames Street, so it shouldn't be all that out of the way. U.S. Naval War College. As its name implies, this museum documents the history of the Naval War College as well as the naval activities that have taken place in the Narragansett Bay dating back to colonial times. Although it's not a large museum, it should be of interest to history buffs, especially those interested in learning about the history of maritime warfare. National Museum of American Illustration. This museum chronicles the golden age of illustration spanning from the late 19th to mid-20th century. Newport Art Museum. This museum first opened its doors in 1912 and was commissioned by one of the country's oldest art associations. Throughout its galleries, visitors can see over 2,200 works of art dating back to the 1800s. There's also a sizable amount of contemporary art, mainly linked to Rhode Island artists. Museum of Newport History. This museum offers guests an intriguing look back in time while highlighting some of the city's most important historical events and milestones. Visitors can learn all about the Gilded Age, Newport's maritime history, and even a bit about the people who originally settled the town. Beyond that, the museum proudly boasts a collection of more than 10,000 artifacts, including clothing, furniture, and musical instruments. Castle Hill Beach and Lighthouse. At the end of Ocean Drive along the always beautiful Narragansett Bay, you'll find a historic lighthouse built in 1890. Though it was more than 130 years ago, it's still used to this day for navigation purposes, guiding ships entering the narrow passage between Connecticut Islands and Aquidneck Island. Now it's time to hear from you. Have you ever been to Newport, Rhode Island? If so, did we miss any of your favorites? And if not, do you think you'll ever get there? Let us know in the comments section below.